a new month. So we've got posture and mental health this month. We're talking about standing tall for a calmer mind with Pilates in mind. So I'll have Finn switch it to our next slide here. I have a quote for you. To achieve our highest accomplishments within the scope of our capabilities in all walks of life, we must constantly strive to acquire strong, healthy bodies and develop our minds to the limit of our ability. And that was by Joseph Pilates from a book I've already quoted from in the past, his book called Contrology, Return to Life. So Pilates is definitely a mind-body exercise, and it means we have to be mentally present to do the exercises. You can go on a treadmill and kind of just run and watch your YouTube video, or you could have music playing. But for Pilates, we want to be really consciously thinking about our alignment, our posture, our breath, and thinking about how we're moving through the body with each movement pattern. So it's something that we want to be mentally present for. And that's why it can help us with our mental health, because it helps us turn off all the chatter and all the other things that are going on in our brains and just focus internally on our own selves, our own body, as well, breathing and working our muscles. So it is like yoga. There is a breathing technique to it, but it's slightly different from yoga. So we're going to go through some of the breath work. And what I have, the focus for this month, I'm going to be focusing on 3 points. The breathing. We're going to talk about our core engagement, because there is so much core work in Pilates. And then articulation is because we're moving through our spine mostly, but we articulate through all of our joints, our shoulders, our knees, our hips. So we want to have smooth articulation as we're doing these movements. So we can go on to our next slide. All right, so we're going to be starting with breath work. And we've been talking in the past about our rib cage breathing. And by 3D, I mean three-dimensional breath. And so we can bring it on to my full screen so we can watch the breathing. And you can do this sitting in your chair. So we've been working on our posture, trying to stack our rib cage over top of our pelvis when we're seated. And by three-dimensional breath, if you can think of your ribs as a cylinder, we want to expand that cylinder in all directions and not just into the upper chest or the shoulders and the neck, breathing up here when we're tense, or if we're doing a cardio workout, sometimes our breath gets up into our chest. We want to try not to do deep belly breathing and letting our stomach expand, because that would be more of a yoga style of breathing or meditative relaxation, down regulation. In Pilates, we really want to focus our air moving into our lungs. And so our lungs are entrapped in our rib cage. And if you can imagine a balloon, and when we inflate the balloon, it expands in all directions. And so we want our lungs to do the same with our ribs. So you can put your hands on your ribs and just try a few deep breaths here. So we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. So right now, just take your own timing for your breath. See how much air you can fill into your lungs and your ribs. And you might feel the ribs pushing into your hands. And then the exhale, you can use your hands to gently push all the breath out of the rib cage. So try a couple more deep breaths there. And forcing the breath out through the mouth. So that is one of the differences between the yoga and the Pilates breath, is that we'll breathe out strongly, forced exhales through the mouth, because we're going to try one more deep breath and really exaggerate the exhale with this one, out through the mouth. Breath in and force that exhale. Keep forcing it, keep forcing it, keep forcing it, keep forcing it. So when you have no more air left in your lungs, you might start to feel a deeper engagement of the abdominal wall. And that's why we use that forced breath out, especially when we get into harder exercises with the abdominals. We need that exhale to help us recruit our lower layers of the abs. Okay, so we're going to now take this into sort of a meditative breath. Still think of it in the Pilates sense that we're breathing into the nose, out through the mouth, and still focusing, targeting that air into our ribs. But we're going to try and take 5 counts to breathe in and 5 counts to breathe out. So we're lengthening out our breath pattern. Notice as we're doing it, as you're breathing in, are you taking your breath in quickly and you have no more air, no more space? Or if you're tensing up different body parts like your neck and shoulders, try and keep all that relaxed. So focus that air into the ribs, and we're going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in through the nose and out. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. In and out. Okay, so just notice for yourself anything that happened there, whether it was hard. Usually it's harder to get that inhale to last for the 5 counts. It's easier to force the exhale for 5 counts. So it's part of our Pilates training because we need to have that longer, deeper breath. And it's for the start of our learning the next exercise now. The 100 is a classic Pilates exercise where we are inhaling for 5 and exhaling for 5 as we're doing abdominal work. So I like to start with just trying that breathing without having to think about the abdominals, without having to think about the movement pattern, and just get used to that longer breath. When we do the 100, it is a faster tempo. It's a faster speed of counting than what we just practiced. So it might find it's a little easier than what you just did. If you're sitting in your chair, you can want to sit up tall on the edge of your seat, on your sits bones. And maybe if you have arms on your chair, you might have to move forward, or you can do this standing up because we're going to be adding our arms. I'll just move back so you can see me. We're going to be adding our arms pumping into this exercise. So my arms are going to be really straight and they're strong arms pumping backwards. And as I pump, I don't want to have floppy wrists or elbows, and I don't want that strong pump to make my whole body ripple back and forth. So I'm holding my core engagement, holding that posture. We're going to be breathing in for 5 counts. Each count is a pump, and exhaling for 5 counts. So I'm going to do the counting. I'll do some of the breathing with you. Just sit up nice and tall, shoulders dropping down, and we're going to start on the inhale. So exhale to get ready, and breath in. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, and in and out. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, and in. And out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. We have 2 more sets, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. Last set, in and out, and then rest. Good. So notice how you feel. The 100 is designed to get our blood circulating, that oxygenation going. And as we take it to the floor later on, we'll try and do this month, is to activate a little bit more abdominal strength there as well. So you might have felt that already just sitting in the chair as the arms are moving vigorously. You have to really hold on, like putting a seatbelt on to hold your core in place. All right, so hopefully that helps to make your mind more present into your body. And so now we're going to work on our deep pelvic floor. Our core engagement is the next theme we're going to work on. So you can show the slide, next slide, just for a second before we get into our position here. But basically we're going to be in our same position. So I'm going to do it backwards from what I put on the slide. We're going to start with our deep pelvic floor activation. Then we'll take it to the floor and talk about our neutral and our imprint. So we'll focus back on me, and I'm wearing the wrong colors, I realized, from my black chair, but I am sitting right up onto my sits bones, feet flat on the floor. So trying to feel that neutral alignment. And our deep pelvic floor, if you can imagine or feel the right and left sits bones side to side. And in the back, we have the tailbone. I don't want you to sit back and find your tailbone unless you want to find it and then sit back up straight again. And in the front, we have our pubic bone. So if you can imagine those 4 points, this diamond shape sitting on the chair, it's all the soft tissue in between those 4 bony landmarks that we're trying to talk about when we talk about our deep pelvic floor. And it's easier to find it and feel it when it's a seated or a vertical position rather than lying down flat horizontally. So we can imagine what I think of as a Kleenex box, and that tissue, soft tissue and muscles and fascia of our deep pelvic floor, it's like picking up a Kleenex tissue out of the box. So when I exhale, I want to lift in and up through my deep pelvic floor. On the inhale, just let it relax a little bit. So it's just like that breathing pattern. You can exhale now to start and think of lifting in and up through those deep pelvic floor muscles and then lengthening it back down, relaxing it. Naturally, as we breathe in this vertical position, our internal organs and all of that is helping to naturally help that happen. But we can strengthen those muscles just like lifting weights by concentrating, mentally focusing down on that soft tissue in that bony landmark. If you haven't done deep pelvic floor work before, it sometimes takes a little bit of time to figure out where you're trying to contract. You can think of it like those children's toys that close together and expand, opening up. So if you think of those 4 bones that we talked about, if you can engage your muscles between them to pull those bones together and then release. Now you might be activating some glutes and other muscles when you do that, but if it helps you wake up the deep pelvic floor, that might help. But it doesn't just stop there with that superficial layer. It continues up into our lower abdominals. So when you pull that Kleenex tissue out of the box, keep engaging and lifting up through your deep lower abdominals and then letting it relax. So use that exhale to lift up through your lower abs and then inhale, let it settle. So it's something that we'll keep practicing. We're going to try it lying horizontally now on the mat. So come on down to the floor with me if you can, or if you want to sit and just sort of see what's happening. We're going to start on our backs in the neutral pelvis. So finding that lying down is where our hip bones and our pubic bone are level to the floor. And so we all have a natural arch of our lower spine. So you might be able to slide a hand or some fingertips under your pelvis, but don't force it into the arch. If you can use those bony landmarks, hip bones, pubic bone are level. And now when we're lying down, it's the same imagery, the same muscles, but we're trying to pull them horizontally like a zipper on your jeans, pulling in and up and then lengthening it back down. So activating that deep pelvic floor like we just did seated, but instead of lifting it up against gravity, we're pulling it inwards and upwards through our spine. So that's why I like to teach it first sitting, and it's an easier one to visualize than when we're lying horizontally. But we're going to start to activate our abdominals. So let's go back to the breathing we did seated. Our inhale through the nose was expanding our rib cage. Our exhale through the mouth was forcing that breath out. And we took that one exhale that was really strong and really forced for a long time. Let's put our hands down on top of our lower abdominals. So when we breathe in, hopefully we don't feel any movement there in the belly. Breathe in through your nose into your ribs. Expand the lungs. Exhale, force all the breath out of the ribs. And I want you to feel like your abs are tightening underneath your fingertips. And breathe in. Try not to let go of those lower abdominals. Let the air go up into your diaphragm and your ribs. And exhale, the abs flatten or push towards the base of your spine. But I'm not moving my pelvic bones. So I'm not doing a pelvic tilt or any tucking. I'm just activating that deep core with the breath. So try a couple more. Take some getting used to. Think of adding that deep pelvic floor engagement as well on the exhale. Breathe in through the nose into your ribs. Exhale through the mouth. Activate deep lower abdominals. So when we're working in exercises in neutral on our backs, our abs are tight. Just like you'd hold a plank, you activate your core. We're trying to find those deeper layers. The imprint is the other position we'll work in a lot. It's a pelvic tilt. So I'm going to tuck my pubic bone higher than my hip bones, or rock your lower spine into the floor. So on your exhale, now do so much breath out, so much ab contraction that it actually rocks your pelvis towards you. And then inhale, we'll go back to that neutral pelvis. I also like to put my fingers on my hip bones and my thumbs on my bottom ribs. So you feel that space of your waist shortening as you tuck, as you go into the imprint, and then it lengthens as you come back to neutral. So on your exhale, think belly button to the floor, tucking into your imprint, and then breathe in back to neutral. But remember, breath in doesn't fill into your belly, it fills up into our ribs. Try a few more of those. Exhale, rocking into your imprint. And it might feel, if you haven't moved your body yet today, it might feel like a little bit of a stretch in that lower back as you rock. And then lengthening neutral. And I'm also being careful here, I'm not using my legs, I'm not using my glutes, so it's whatever amount of pelvic curl you can get with just your abdominals. All right, so that's one we're going to keep working on. And you can do that also seated in the chair. And I might have to raise my camera a bit here. So I'm sitting up on those sits bones, which would get my neutral pelvis. And then if I bring that pubic bone forward or the hip bones back, I'm just getting this slight rounding in my lower back. So that's my abs making my spine curve. And so you can do all that deep pelvic floor work and your imprint seated as well. So let's move on to our next section. We're going to do some articulation, focusing on the spine today. So I call this the roll down stretch. We have a roll down we can do sitting, which we're already there. So let's try it sitting first, but we can also do it standing. And then we'll try some hip rolls back down on the mat. So we're sitting on the edge of our chair, and then a roll down is starting from the top of my spine. I let my head drape over and round through one vertebrae at a time, but I'm still keeping my pelvis in that neutral alignment. So there's going to be an end range. I'm not folding in half at my hips. And then take a deep breath there and realign, stacking your spine back up. So as far as the articulation goes, our mind-body practice here, I'm thinking of a waterfall, a hose, spilling the water over the top, rounding your spine over, and then taking a breath into your back. When I'm curling up, I think of Lego blocks. My vertebrae, I'm stacking one Lego block on top of the other. So your head is the last thing to come back up. So think of water spilling up and over, this fountain's rounding down. The abs are still engaged. Breathe into those back ribs, feel the nice stretch, and then stacking your vertebrae. So I'm going to show you what sometimes people do, especially as they're learning, as they get down there. The first thing they come out, they're trying to see what's going on, and they bring their head up first. So that's not going to articulate and segment through my spine. I want to feel it coming up through my deep core. Or you can think of like a zipper on your jacket. You do up the zipper at the bottom and then unravel the chin. So let's try that standing. And we're going to stand with our feet about hip distance apart. I might have put that a little too high. And so we're going to take our feet hip distance apart with our neutral pelvis. I keep a little bend in my knees. And then peeling over your head first. Your arms can be just floppy and loose like a rag doll. And then again, you don't have to fold all the way down to the floor, just going to where you feel a nice stretch in the spine. And take a breath in. Use your exhale now. Again, think of the zipper on your jacket and stacking up your head last. Or you can think of the Lego blocks, stacking your building blocks of your vertebrae. So head nod, and then we round forward. Knees stay a little bit bent so it doesn't get too much of the hamstrings at this point. Take a deep breath, and then exhale, stack your way back up. So a really nice stretch to do at the beginning of a class or at the start of the day. I'm going to take you back down to the floor now. So a lot of Pilates articulation movements will happen from your head to your tail or tail to your head. So we're going to start now from our tail. We're going to work from our pelvis first. Going back to our neutral, and then I'm going to do my imprint first. That's the first part of my spine to round my tail. So I'm going to exhale, rocking my imprint. Continue by squeezing your glutes, and you're rolling up into a bridge, a hip roll. So I roll off the mat onto my shoulder blades. Hold everything nice and tight. My butt is going to stay tight, and then I work my way down, segmenting, articulating one vertebrae at a time down to my tailbone last. So it's a nice smooth rolling action, a massage for your back. Breathe in to get ready. Exhale, start with that imprint. Keep exhaling as you roll up, squeezing the glutes. Those are your butt muscles. Hold it at the top, take a breath in. Exhale, work your way down section by section. So feel the ribs, feel that lower back, feel your pelvis, and then your tailbone. And we can do this putting it back together with our breath work. Let's try it on a 5 count. Inhale and exhale, rolling up and down. So we'll breathe in to get ready. Exhale to roll 1, exhale 2, exhale 3, exhale 4, exhale, stay at the top, breath in. And exhale, rolling down. 1, exhale 2, exhale 3, exhale 4, exhale 5. So maybe my counting is slower than what you want. So if you want to just take one more in your own time and use your full breath out and your full breath in at the top. So breathe in to get ready and use your exhale to curl. Feel the segmenting through your spine. And then when you get to the top, take your breath in slowly and slowly roll it down. and back to neutral. And you may want to just hug your knees right up into your chest there and rock and roll, massage your back a little bit more. Help yourself to roll up. And we'll come on back and just review what we've done today. So we can move on to our last slide. All right, and let me know how you're feeling after all that. So we went through focus breaths, our 3-dimensional rib cage breathing, to take time to breathe in and get that full expansion of our lungs, exhaling, which is going to help to calm the nervous system. It's going to help to declutter the mind. We found our deep pelvic floor and our deeper lower layers of our abdominals. So we want to try and find that activation so that it's not like doing crunches all day long, but we want our abdominal wall to support us as we're sitting, as we're standing. It can help alleviate some of the back pain. And then lastly, we went through some articulation and movements of our spine from head to tail with the roll down, or from tail to head with the hip roll. So hopefully that gets your body moving a little bit, and you can see how as we start to add more exercises to our Pilates practice, we can help improve our posture, help bring blood flow and breath to help declutter our mind and have a calmer mind. So let me know how you're feeling. Oh, it does feel very helpful. Excellent. Thank you. And it does help to just really focus on learning something new, to turn off all the noise that might be going on, right? Good. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Let me check what other chats we have here. Hello, hello. Thank you. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much. Bye.